So the mindful message today is the impact of intention. So being in the wellness world, what I recognize is things that are really important that we do, that we bring to the forefront, have become more mainstream, which is great, right? You want that kind of awareness, but you see it on TikTok, you see it on Instagram, you see it everywhere. And then the words, they start to lose their meaning. And people use them because they sound right, they feel right. Maybe it puts them in a higher level, but maybe they forgot what it actually is. So we see things like intention, mindful, aligned, even manifesting, grounding, and all of those. It's kind of like, but what exactly does that mean? So words for me really matter. And I wanted to bring it back to give you a little bit more here because this is an intentional space. And I want you to feel that and be able to be here in that way. So why exactly does intention matter? I nerd out and I love to learn the science behind it. I think it's also really important. So we're not going blindly. We get a bit of fact and then we get all the excitement that comes with it. Ooh, and then we go backwards, but come right back. So one of the cool scientific research projects around this was Masaru Emoto's study on positive intentions with water. So there was a jar of water and one had this intention of love and the other jar of water had an intention of hate, right? And then they were frozen. And then the ice crystals that came out of that, the one that was infused with love became this beautiful snowflake that you couldn't imagine. And the one that was infused with hate was discolored and almost scary, almost monster-like. But it was taken a step further. And the reason that this becomes important, because you're like, water, who cares? Well, as adults, we are 70% water. So if it can happen in that space, imagine what's happening to us, inside of us, and how we're impacted by positive and negative. So this was taken a step further. And Emoto and some other scientists did a double-blind study. And this was done from a distance. Very interesting. So you have this water put into a freezer in California. And then you have 1,000 participants in Japan who are then putting positive intentions, sending positive intentions to this water in California. And what they don't know is there's a control set of water, right? We need that for an experiment. That's getting nothing, but in the same kind of freezer, separated. From there, once the ice crystals are formed, photos are taken, and a completely different set of participants are then asked to vote on the photos and figure out what they find more beautiful. And by a landslide, the ones with positive intentions were found more beautiful. It was then done on chocolate and wine tasting. And I put this forward because if anybody wants to do that, I am happy to taste for you. And I feel like there could be so much goodness there. And then the things that maybe you've heard in other aspects of, business or personal life, but when we set intentions, research has found that our results are more positive. So what next? Why does it matter in your life? Intentions impact your life the way we'll talk about it today with your time, your choices, your thoughts, and eventually your relationships. It can be that powerful. So ask yourself, are you living a life with intention? Now, I told you I nerd out. I'm going to come back to this, but I know this stuff so that you don't have to, right? I have been a student of healing for over 20 years. And the neuroscience I find incredibly interesting. If we think about our brains, the survivor part of our brain, also often referred to as like the reptilian brain, that is the most evolved. It's been with us the longest. Okay? And in that part of the brain, we have the amygdala, our fight, flight, freeze, appease reactions, right? So that's all about survival. But what we don't hear about as often is that in that space is also what's called the default mode network. And that is where the majority of your inner dialogue takes place. So think about it. The moderator of your life is hanging out next to the panic button all day long. No wonder we're feeling stressed. No wonder things are difficult. No wonder it's hard to choose intention. But that amygdala It's all about survival, and survival means we feel unsafe. That is not something that anybody, most people, come to the realization of. That when they are reacting to life, it's because they feel unsafe. But that is legit what is happening within us. Now, the study of positive intelligence shows that our brains have 10 negative factors and 5 positives. And the 10 negatives, as I'm sure you can imagine, they live in the survival brain. We're going to come back to it. No quiz required, but moving on. So, show of hands, who has said or thought in the past week, I don't have time for this? Right. Okay. So, when I fell into a really deep depression in my 20s, I learned that that's crap. So this is too many numbers on a screen for me. I am not a math person. It already makes me dizzy. I want to pass out looking at it, but I brought it to you for a reason. Because if we break it down into seconds, you have 3,600 seconds in an hour. Can you choose 10 of those for you? What if 10 seconds made a difference every hour? What if that helped you to be happier? In that dark period of time, what I've learned and what I've had to maintain and recognize since is we make time for things that are important to us, including people. So why are you not on that list? Or where are you on it? Choice is such an interesting part of the conversation because it comes up in so many ways for us, and it even can contradict itself, right? We can feel like, I don't know which way to go, left or right. What am I going to do? We can feel like I'm overwhelmed. There's too many choices. I don't know how to make a decision. I don't want to make any more decisions. I've made so much already. And the other is, I don't have a choice. I'm calling crap on it again because we make an average of 35,000 choices every single day. So if I were to sit here and say, I have to pay my bills. No, I don't. I don't. I choose to. We put the have to in front of it, but we're making a choice, right? There's consequences on the other side of not doing it. So I'm choosing to do it. We make a choice every time. And it's owning that and the power of it. So what choices are you intentionally making? And choices, like I said, can make us feel out of control. And if we go back to the amygdala, we feel unsafe when we're out of control. But control is an illusion. We don't have it. We can't control anything, right? We can put intention forward. We can do our best to walk in a straight line, likely being told to, we're going to waver a little bit, but we can't control anything. We can only do our best with what we have within ourselves. But there is a way to calm that safety feeling, that unsafe feeling, without holding on to control and still activating choice. Now, I have a lot of people say, I know that. Oh, I know that already. I've heard that. Oh, yeah. Nothing I don't know. Oh, I've done it, and I just need to get back in the house. Oh, I should, this and that. Okay. So insight, it's awesome. I love to learn, but insight without action, it's choosing to stay the same. It is as simple as that. And it's terrifying and it's not easy, but it's so worth it to create positive change. And it doesn't have to look like blowing up your life. So then we think about our brains, right? Oh my gosh, all the thoughts that go through. Like, show of hands, who has the moments where your mind can't stop running? We talk about it a lot with sleep. Somebody says, oh, take the time off. Oh, I'll try to relax. Okay. But what if you could choose? What if you could actually slow down that nonsense? But I want to start with some of what's already happening in there. So we are receiving 11 million pieces of information a second. Like, what? That's insane. Naturally, like, we can't process it, right? We can process 40 to 50 pieces of information. That's it. That's a lot. And we have 45 thoughts per minute, but 80% of those are negative. So 36 thoughts a minute are negative. Depressing? Yes. Scary? Yes. But also normal and not your fault. Right? So anybody that's walking around and telling you that they don't have negative thoughts and they don't judge themselves and they don't judge others and confidence all day long, they're lying. They're lying to you and they're likely lying to themselves. It's not possible unless you do the work. And it doesn't stop negative from coming, but it does help to recover faster. It helps to quiet the noise. So I told you I was coming back here. And I'm coming back because we have talked about how likely we are to go towards the negative. And we do that. We've got not only how our brains are built, but we have life around us. We have conditioning. We have voices on social media. We have family. We have our own experiences that just build it. And then we do this weird thing where our brain tries to connect two stories that don't go together in order to prove something negative to us. That's also a lie. But we have the chance to evolve, right? So I mentioned that there were 10 negatives, but what about the positive? So the positive lives in the least developed part of your brain. Of course it does. But we can do the work to get there with just 10 seconds of mindfulness at a time. We can build new neural pathways towards those positive factors. So what I want you all to do right now is put your hands up like this. People that work with me, women that work with me here know this is my favorite. Take your fingers of one hand and gently rub them up and down the fingertips and palm of the other. And just notice the sensations. So this motion, this is it, right? Just being present with it, bringing your attention to it can create change, can create calm. In the moment, it can shift you from reacting to responding. And in the long term, it can make it so that you're less likely to go into that react space. So things feel easier. Now, I can tell you that this is something that I utilize, one of the many tools that I utilize, but it was something that got me out of complex post-traumatic stress disorder, my CPTSD, which I had enacted for 10 months. And it's terrifying. But it was this that helped me to create that change and to not just heal, but to be able to show up authentically and energized in my marriage, in relationships, in my business, to be creative, to take on volunteer initiatives, to do so many other things that were positive because of this, to create that change. It's something that I've taught my husband, I've taught my sister, I teach my clients, we attempt to teach our daughter. So there's all of that comes with just a simple step, but it takes practice. So I want you to think about mac and cheese for a second. You know I love to eat. So boxed mac and cheese, it's easy, right? It's easy, it's available. It's okay. It does the trick. But what if instead you decided to make a really gourmet, beautiful mac and cheese, and you went to the fromagerie and you got 3 or 4 different cheeses to add and different styles, and you researched recipes and you're sampling it and you're taking the time to really enjoy the process and you're taste testing and you cook with love, and oh my gosh, it's going to be so good, right? It took time, it took love, it took attention and intention. So which would you rather have? Because at the end of the day, the boxed mac and cheese, it's got its own thing. It's got its own merit. But it's certainly not as good as that really caring, long-lasting, effort-placing meal. And this is what you can do for yourself. You can consistently nourish yourself with good things. So the kind of math I like, we are taking intention and mindfulness. And what you get out of that is calm, happiness, wisdom, peace, ease, quicker recovery. I could keep going on this list. It is the pot of gold, right? At the end of the rainbow. It's like the rainbow constantly there. It is beautiful. I have had clients who've said, Jackie, I'm happier than I've ever been in my 52 years on this earth. Somebody who said life tastes better after doing this work. And I'm really passionate about it because I mentioned that I've been a student of healing for over 20 years. And it started when I left an abusive boyfriend in college and got a restraining order. And then I took my ass to Safe House Denver to figure out what happened because I never wanted to find myself in that situation again. And if there's any choice I could make, I wanted to do it differently to take care of me. And I haven't since. Thank you for that. And I'm not trying to compete in the trauma Olympics, right? But like, could be a contender. I've had many a falls, many a rock bottoms, and done a lot of work. And while I can't control your life, what I hope for you is to not have to hit those bottoms, to do the stuff beforehand so that you can be happier, enjoy life more, really dive into those dreams and create what you want, what you desire. So with that, I'm going to put this on the screen. I would love to have you. I'm opening up 5 spots in dream discovery calls. So these aren't open to the public. They're free calls, and we will do some exploration here. You will get aligned with what you want so that you can prioritize yourself, your passions. You can release the guilt. And then you can show up to be a better you for you first, and also be better in your relationships. But in a way, it just feels good. That feels ease. So that procrastination goes to the wayside, and instead you have focus and accomplish the things that you want to get done. Not wasting the time going back and forth anymore, but really moving forward with confidence and giving you a safe space to look inward and be this highest version of you without the shame, with giving yourself grace and care and compassion when there are stumbles, because there will always be stumbles.